How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the download size for League of Legends. So this is on the 5th of June 2017. It is a completely clean install of the game, as I've never really played it before. And as you can see, I'm using the Networks application right here to log the data. So we have we've dialed in the time range that I downloaded the game on, which is the 5th of June 2017. And as you can see, here is all the data from the applications that were running on my machine and using data on that day. So this is a pretty easy way to figure out how much data a single application is using, etc., etc. If we take a look at the applications themselves, it looks like there are several entries here as the versions updated. So at most, the biggest number here is a total of 6.55 gigabytes to update that. Then there is a patch below that with the LOL patcher for 1.2 gigabytes. And then it falls pretty drastically at 190 gigabytes for some older version that was updated. And then a Riot client patcher, which was 60.3 megabytes. And if you drop down even lower, it gets even less relevant with the LOL patcher for 40 kilobytes. So one of the things about this, once again, is that I have not ever installed the game before. So when I downloaded the executable that was found on the League of Legends website, it installed all of these additional versions of the game, apparently, before actually installing the final one. I don't know exactly on that, but looking at the numbers that were logged here, we can see that it comes up to a total of 8.06 gigabytes total for the install. I sort of logged the numbers down there individually, including the download through the web browser for the initial shell, or whatever you want to call that interface, that wrapper kind of thing that you run after down. It's like a 30 megabyte download, and then you run that, and then that initializes the installation of the entire game. It basically just installs the client, but I got that directly from the website. What is really interesting about this, I think, is the fact that if we take a look at the actual directory install size, once everything is completed, it's only 6.13 gigabytes. So in and of itself, the download is a couple of gigabytes bigger than the final install size, which I found to be pretty interesting and somewhat perhaps inefficient. Now, there is no reason for me to suspect that any of these numbers logged are inaccurate. I've never had some sort of discrepancy between what the usage report for Networks is in relation to the amount of data that I actually used. I've tried to verify it. And as you can see, we are using gigabytes and not gigabits. So this is very important to note. When I'm talking about the amount of data I received, it is 8.06 gigabytes, not 8.06 gigabits. Sometimes that can be a confusing factor because that's like to the power of 8 bytes versus bits. Is it power of 8 or power of 7? I forget. Anyway, I'm pretty confident in saying that the overall install size here is actually smaller than the download size. But if you were wondering, yes, it is. It was 8.06 gigabytes for me to install the complete game. Pretty reasonable overall, I feel. One of the things some of you might be wondering, if you watched this video because you're subscribed, not because you found it by searching on YouTube, why would anybody care about this stuff, right? Well, there are still people out there who have data caps on their usage, and a lot of game companies simply aren't friendly towards those people. They don't give them the information they need to know about how big the download for that game is. And League of Legends is one of those very popular games that you'd think the information would be out there. Maybe it is. I just haven't seen it, and I haven't seen it updated for 2017. So I thought this would be of value potentially here because you have to remember, I come from a place where data to me is not superfluous. I actually value how much I'm actually using because I remember dial-up, and dial-up is one of those things where you could probably pull about 2 gigabytes a month off of it if you're running it almost 24/7. Well, you could probably pull more than that. It depends upon your speed, right? I had even in 2011, I only had 28 kilobit dial-up, because 56 is simply too far away from the telephone operating station, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. But yeah, so back then I was able to pull about 2 gigabytes per month when I was just running stuff, and it was miserable. It really was miserable. And people nowadays, they often have data caps. So you might be wondering, you know, I'm going to be downloading this over my cellular data plan, for example. How big is it going to be? Am I going to incur overage charges because I only have like 20 gigabytes on my plan? And the answer would be no. You can download it in a reasonable size. It's 8.06 gigabytes for the whole thing. Pretty decent overall. So I thought that was rather curious. Let me know what you think. Do you ever look at your downloads? Like, do you ever look at the amount of data that you're consuming per day? Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, as always, and I'll see you next time.